Welcome into episode 007 of the Overqualified Golf Dads podcast. I am your host, Scott Porter, along as always with my co-host, Maddux Lytle. Maddux, it is January 20th, a day that I know me and you have been looking forward to. We won't get too political, but it has been a great day, in my opinion. My favorite part was when the music wouldn't work for Carrie Underwood, and she was like, I can just sing it. That was awesome. Any thoughts
She's
on
so
today?
good. No, I mean, it's a great day. There's a lot going on today. Obviously, we got MLK Day, and then we've got the national championship coming on here right now. And then the inauguration of our 47th president of the United States of America, Mr. Donald J. Trump. So that's pretty exciting. A lot going on. Yeah, plenty of thoughts, but like I said, we'll keep everything kind of.
We'll keep it golf related around here.
Yeah, golf related. Yeah.
I don't think there's been a more.
He is a club champion.
I don't think there is a more pro golf president than Donald Trump.
Amen to that.
Ever. So,
yeah.
From that side of things, golf side of things, we are very excited here. Tonight we have a very special guest. I'm not sure what we'll clarify once he gets on. I know at one point he was the general manager of Sunset Hills Country Club. That might be still his title. It might be director of golf. I'm not sure. But Justin Japour, he has been a longtime kind of friend and colleague, if you will, of both of ours. We've both had different experiences with him, but he is coming to us from the PGA show in Orlando. So excited to hear how that's going and what he saw today, what he's going to see in the next couple days, and what he's excited about. Anything specific you want to ask him before we pull him in here and get started?
Definitely want to talk to him about the junior development program and kind of, how that works. Also, I know he's got a son that plays college football. So I think at CMC. So definitely want to talk to him about that and kind of how somebody that's in the world of golf or in the realm of golf, how he kind of, dealt with that, I guess, in a sense, right?
For sure.
But I mean, it's kind of like we said in the first episode or two about being supportive of whatever happens, but obviously we're both hoping that our children play the game of golf as their priority, but, kind of how that works out for him.
Yep, for sure. So we're excited to have Justin Japour on. Again, he is the head man in charge of Sunset Hills Country Club in Carrollton, Georgia, which is the town that just had Shannon Lippum, where we just had Shannon Lippum, the head golf coach of the University of West Georgia in Carrollton last week. So we're sticking with the Carrollton theme here tonight. And it should be a fun interview. Looking forward to it. So next up, our interview with Justin Japour of Sunset Hills. We're back. Welcome back to episode 7 of the Overqualified Golf Dads podcast. Here, as mentioned before, is our guest, Mr. Justin Japour of Sunset Hills. JJ, what's good, my brother?
It's all good. I'm down in Orlando for the PGA show this week.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So that's kicks off tomorrow. What you got going on?
Yeah, I've got a couple of meetings. I'm meeting with Stitch for a little bit, and then I'm going to go out to demo day and see what's going on out there. Hopefully it doesn't rain. It's supposed to have rain all day, so it'll be a captain's choice. It'll be a decision made right as I go out there.
Man, Stitch has some really quality stuff. Right before I was leaving Noonan, they had made the decision to bring Stitch in, and we had gotten our first shipment of it in literally like my last week at NCC. And man, the product is really, really good.
It's done phenomenal at Sunset. It's a great product. Sean Bunning, the rep, is a great partner for me out at Sunset. And I do a lot of business based on partnerships. It's the product is phenomenal. There's a lot of good product out there, but you want to deal with somebody that you got a great partnership with.
Yeah, so we'll get into the PGA show questions in a bit. Can you give us a little background about how you got into golf? I know you played college golf, and kind of give us that story and how you ended up at Sunset.
Yeah, it's I started playing just for my dad and I to do something together. When I was about 10 years old, went out to a place called Beaver Lake down in Gay, Georgia. I don't know if either one of y'all heard of it. I don't even know if it's around anymore.
So it closed. I grew up in Greenville,
okay.
10, 12 minutes from Gay. I think it's closed down now, but it was a thing when I was a kid.
Well, Mr. Weaver, he ran the golf course, and at 10 years old, he didn't care if we drove carts. So he would give me and my buddies carts at 10 years old with my dad, and we'd just go riding around out there. It was a free-for-all. And I ran over my grandfather one day. I mean, it wasn't good, but they didn't care. They put a little Band-Aid on him after I mowed him down and gave me a Snickers because I was upset and told me to get back out there. And this was actually before White Oak opened up. And when they opened White Oak, since we lived in Noonan, we moved our membership to White Oak. and grew up out there. Went to East Coweta, played at East Coweta. Went to Georgia State my first year, and after 1 year at Georgia State, wanted to transfer down to Valdosta. I'd been talking to them during the recruiting process, but ended up going to Georgia State first, but going to Valdosta was the best decision I made for myself. Really enjoyed it down there, made a lot of good friends. The golf was fantastic. To watch a guy by the name of Bryony Baird play for a season, and what that guy could do with a golf ball was absolutely he was on a different level for sure.
Yeah, you've got guys that you hear them hit a golf ball and it just sounds completely different than anything else you hear on the range. Is that one of those situations?
Yeah, I mean, the best story, and they think differently too. And I'll never forget, we were sitting in the club. You couldn't even see outside. It was raining so hard. And we're all, looking around, and we're like, where's Bryony at? And so we kind of looked out there, and we saw that this umbrella out there, and then we saw this motion. You couldn't even really see what was going on. So we got our umbrellas, walked out there, and it was Bryony. He was out there hitting balls in this monsoon of rain coming down. So what are you doing? He said, I may have to play in it. Fair enough. I mean, that's why I'm in the club worried about tee times, and he's making millions playing.
There you go.
But they think differently too. So it was kind of cool to go down there with him and watch someone of that caliber, and then see his career. I mean, what did he play? 20 years on the PGA, and now I think he's on the senior tour. I mean, he made a lot of cuts, made a full living out there.
You don't stay out there without making a lot of cuts. You do not stay out there for 20 years without golfing your ball for sure.
And P.F. Chang's and Canon were his sponsors, so I'm sure he did pretty well. And then after I tried the mini tours for a brief period, I found out I didn't make enough birdies. Made too many others, to be honest with you, to try to play to keep my professional career going. But wanted to get in the club side of it because I really enjoy the business, enjoy being around the people, enjoy the sport. And so I started working at Canongate 1 under Charlie Thomas.
There you go.
Worked for Charlie.
Maddux's home course.
That's right. Well, I was I started there. I opened up Heron Bay, and then came back and was the head pro at Canongate for a little while, and then had White Oak and Canongate, and then White Oak and Summer Grove together, and then finally at the end of my stint there was just at White Oak, and then 15 years ago I left and went to Sunset Hills and found my home. Love it there, and it's been a great spot for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's funny to hear you mention like Gay, Georgia growing up, and because we are from a very similar area, and I can imagine before White Oak opened, before Orchard Hills opened, there wasn't a ton of golf in Noonan. I can't.
No, you had Noonan Country Club was really the only thing that you had in town. Orchard Hills wasn't even around at that point either. Just trying to find. My dad and I, we weren't very good. We were just starting out. We didn't want to. You got to Noonan, it was so nice. You didn't want to beat up their golf course and look like a bunch of clowns out there. So we went to Gay where I could run over people in a golf cart and drive one at 10 years old. So that was more our speed at the time.
There you go. Maddux, you want to tell us the first time you remember meeting JJ?
Oh, God.
Man, I'd known the name a while, obviously growing up at Canongate. I've been around golf since I was pretty much born, but yeah, definitely knew the name for a while. I think the first like real memory I have is maybe the first year I played in the Pump Schaefer. So that was probably, 2014, 2015, somewhere in there. I was maybe a senior in high school, freshman in college, something like that. That's the first time I actually met JJ, and I mean, just a stand-up dude, super nice to us. All the young kids out there playing in the practice round and stuff, usually at that time, especially, there was a lot of knuckleheads growing up kind of in our era. And I would say that kind of the group that I hung around, we were all fairly straightforward guys. We were nice to the golf course, respected the golf course rather. But he was super welcoming to us, letting us in there, and just to have fun in that tournament. Was fortunate enough a couple years later to win it. Obviously got to speak with JJ. He helped me order some clubs that I got fit for. But yeah, always loved going out to Sunset, seeing him out there, playing that golf course. It's been a while since I've been out there. But
JJ, on our last podcast, Maddux said that was his favorite trophy. That it was
Tom Schaefer.
His favorite trophy. Like I guess it's the looks of it that you like, Maddux.
Yeah, by far, it's super neat. It's the one. I don't know if it's still the same, but it came in a big glass case, and it was a plate with the Sunset Hills logo, and it says like the year of the pomp and everything. Definitely my favorite trophy that I have.
I'm glad you enjoyed that. The competition committee's made a change on that trophy, but it's still got a lot of history and tradition. That tournament's been around a long time. Let's talk about your winning round. Do you remember what you shot, Maddux?
Of course.
What'd you shoot?
65, bogey-free 65.
Yeah, that's right. Do you know what, and when I went back and I looked at I'd love to say I could remember it all, but I can't remember what I had for dinner last night. and I looked at your scorecard. It was probably one of the most impressive front nines I think that I've seen in a long time. You birdied 5, 6, 7, and 8, and that's what we call our aiming corner at Sunset. And if you can make it even par through there, you've done something pretty fantastic, and you birdied every single one of those. And a little 31, 34 for a 65, which is, bogey free, which was absolutely stellar play. And I went back for, the last 7 years, and there's 3 people that have won it with 6 under. It's going to be you, the current champion, Luke Abel, and then we've got John Harmon won it at 6. There's only 2 other scores that I could find that were below that. So you played really well out there. You see a lot of 3 unders and 4 unders that have won that tournament. To get to 6 under is quite the accomplishment. It's good playing.
Yeah, thank you. That was a lot of fun. I'll never forget too that week I had just put in, a brand new set of irons, and I contemplated it for a couple of hours. But my buddy Tanner Lee, he was like, just do it. He's like, it may add a little magic. And sure enough, I put them in Friday for the practice round. I drove to school because they were delivered to the school. I picked them up, and then I drove to Sunset. And the first round I played was the practice round, and then. It was the magic of those, I say, is what got it done. But that was definitely one of the most fun rounds I've ever played. I played next to Keith Fleming, had a good battle with Lou. I think it was Lou Denny is who I had the battle with. He finished second.
Keith is winning the scoreboard for most times mentioned in this podcast.
Without question.
Probably.
Without question. He's infamous, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh man, he was the first person that ever told me about the Pomp Schaefer right when I first got started at White Oak. Anyways, yeah, he's a legend. So speaking of knuckleheads, we do have to mention one thing. I am gonna go ahead and go on record that says that my employment at Sunset Hills in the fall of 2013 was the fault of the Delta Chi fraternity, and just me lack of not knowing what the heck I wanted to do. Fun story, I worked for Justin for about 2.5 months or so. He hired me in August of 2013, and we'll see if your recollection is the same as mine, JJ. But I got given a golf lesson from a good friend of ours, Will Keller, and you were looking for cart guys before school started and whatnot, and I think I was a pretty good employee for about a month. And then after that, I gave up on my baseball dreams, rushed to fraternity. They started making me stay out all night long, and I started not being such a great employee. And we agreed to part ways is the way I remember it. So I don't know how you remember it.
I don't remember a lot of things, like I said, but I do remember that. But that 1 month you were stellar, Scott.
So
you're stellar. Just so you know, you led to the ban of Delta Chi at Sunset Hills.
Yes, there you go. Hey, I don't blame you whatsoever.
No,
the hard part, the bad part is we kind of led to the ban of ourselves. We got kicked off campus in 2015, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. But the funniest part about that story is you flash forward to 2022, and I'm sitting in Tokyo in Noonan with Blake Fulmer, our good friend, rest in peace, buddy. And we're sitting there having some dinner, and you walk up to say hello to Blake, and on the other side of Blake, on the other side of the table is me, and I said, "Hey, Justin," and you looked at me like, "How in the world do you know Blake Fulmer?" And I was
thinking hard, what is the connection here? What is going on? What are these two doing?
3.5 years later, I was the assistant pro 4.5 years later, I was the assistant pro at White Oak in one of your old jobs at White Oak, and it turned out to be a golf pro. And it's just funny how kind of history kind of writes itself. And that was a very, very funny moment that I have thought back on many, many times. Yeah. So for the record, I was a horrible, horrible employee at Sunset Hills. I do not put it on my resume.
Not for 1 month. 1 month you were stellar. 1
That,
month.
that one month, that was really good. Me and Brad Swinney actually laugh about that all the time. We still keep up. He lives in Peachtree City now, but yeah, we laugh about that 1 month that I was good, and then everything else was pretty bad. Anywho,
Just call it a learning moment, Scott. That's
there
what
you
we'll call it. We'll call it a teaching moment. Yeah.
there you
go.
go. We'll call it 11 years ago. So, with that being said, Maddux had a great question because one of the things I bragged on you and well, I was bragging on CJ, but I'm sure it's a lot of your program as well, or obviously you implemented. But what have you specifically done for your junior program at Sunset? Because y'all do have one of the healthiest that I see in the area when I've been around to different clubs.
Well, the main thing that I like to make sure that we have going on is something has to be going on weekly. It can't just be the junior golf league, and I see that at a lot of different places. And there's private lessons that are given all the time, but something to attract junior players that are new to the game, that are really young. Now, I know that having taught a lot of lessons yourself, the younger they are, you feel like it's a little bit like babysitting starting out. But when you see the light bulb go off and they want to come out there and all they want to do is come up and give Mr. Scott a high five and just be at the golf course, and they're out there putting or chipping around or want to hit drivers, it lets you know that you're making progress. So the key for me is making sure that whether it's me or really it's my assistant, because I want to see them develop into junior leaders on their own as they develop into professional and become a head pro. I want them to have that junior golf mindset as they move forward. It's something that it's going to help the game and it's your future members. One of the things that we put into place this year that I'm really excited about is the Louise Suggs Junior Girls Invitational. This is something that is near and dear to my heart. It's after Mr. Wayne Edson. He worked in the golf shop for me for about 7 years. He passed away from cancer. It was really hard for me. He wanted me to make sure that if I stayed at Sunset that I kept the junior program going, because there's 3 things that he loved. He loved Miss Terry, his wife. He loved junior golf, and for some reason he loved Alabama football. But we won't go down that road except for the junior golf. He got a kick out of watching the kids dragging their bags up as they were bigger than the junior, and he absolutely loved it. He caddied on the tour for Bruce Devlin, and he worked for Tommy Aaron back in the mid-'70s when Tommy was just tearing it up. So it's crazy. This man had a lot of knowledge about high-end, high-level golf and what the tour guys are like because he was out there. He caddied out there for a while.
Yeah.
And so when he left, he asked me if I would keep the junior program energetic and thriving at Sunset, and I said absolutely. And so I didn't know what I was going to do. I felt a huge weight on my shoulders. I mean, because what he did in the end is he had all of his, instead of flowers, he had everybody send money to the Sunset Hills Junior Golf Program.
That's awesome.
So unfortunately, he passed away in December of 22, and all these checks started rolling in. Members at the club just started handing me checks, and I'm sitting there with about $3,500 just sitting in the bank. I opened a bank account, had a couple of different people's name on it because I didn't want to be the only one to have access to it. So that this is to me, I looked at this as a Sunset Hills project. At some point, I'm down at the Jones Cup volunteering, and I'm on number 17 green, and it hit me. I need to have a tournament for Wayne. I wasn't sure how I needed to do it. I didn't know what I was going to do. And started talking to John Wade down at Ocean Forest, and we probably spent 20 hours on the phone talking about best practices on how to start an invitational of that magnitude. And the first thing I was able to do is I put together a phenomenal committee and had a lot of people with more talent than I do on this committee. We have about 16 people on this committee. It just, Dr. Kurt Hitzman, this guy, he understands junior golf probably better than anybody that I've ever seen, and he had a roadmap on what we need to do to have a successful event as far as having an all-girls tournament in the high school age range, because there isn't anything out there for high school girls.
Yeah, there's not.
And then the connection with Louise Suggs out at Sunset Hills, with her dad being the first head golf professional, and Louise starting the LPGA in 1950. They held the August of 1950, and then they held the first Carrollton LPGA Open in 1950. So we had to be one of the very first LPGA tour stops due to Louise Suggs.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's, with that connection and with the need for a high level tournament for high school girls to make this their Jones Cup, so to speak. It was a no-brainer that we had to go full throttle, and we had a phenomenal first year. After our first year, we were able to gain world amateur golf ranking status.
Wow.
Yeah, they went retro when they saw the field. They saw the field. We were able to get Peavers stars awarded to the champion and the all tournament team. Our champion was exempt into the Sally down in Ormond Beach, and she finished tied for 27th, so she finished middle of the field. First time, our first champion, Georgia Blount, finished even par and did just a phenomenal job and went down there and played well. And the Sally's an international event, so with the junior program for the younger ones, and then this one for the high school age girls, I'm really excited about what we're doing at Sunset Hills for junior golf. It's really it gets you up at night thinking about what can we do, and you start getting all these ideas going.
Yeah, absolutely. And then looking at the boys side of things, I know that you and your club are pretty involved with the Carrollton school system teams and whatnot as well. I know their middle school boys team has some special players on it.
They do.
And it's cool to see the investment, both from Sunset Hills, but also from Carrollton City Schools into their golf program that early. I don't want to throw any schools out there as not doing stuff like that, but like it's not something you see a lot at the middle school level specifically.
No, you really don't, and they understand that is what's going to feed the high school program. So Kurt Hitzman is running the middle school program. You've got Jake Harris that's over the high school program, and you got Jonah Holiday that's tackling the girls. So they've got a lot of coaches over there trying to develop these kids. They've got community coaches like Robert Fazio. He's also a GSGA official. So you've got a lot of people that are donating time. They are helping these coaches out. The club is so supportive of Carrollton junior golf. They love seeing these kids develop and compete. We host the Lady Trojan, and we host the Trojan Invitational. And we go all out just like it's the Louis Suggs. We put everything we have into it for them so that when they come out, they feel special and they feel like they're there to compete and have a good time. And hopefully, like Maddux, it's memorable when they walk away years later. They think back, man, that was a great experience. Now, they may not know me as well as I got to know Maddux and you guys, because if they're playing in a middle school event, it's a lot of people right there at the end trying to figure out who won, and then everybody leaves all at one time. But it's just, it's really a special partnership between Sunset Hills and the Carrollton City School System.
That's incredible. I know that Maddux appreciates being a college coach. I know he appreciates development at an early age. Maddux, is there anything in there that you wish more schools would do? I know I wish they all would have a middle school golf program.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that just junior development in general, it's something that kept me, I think, super hungry and interested in the game when I was younger growing up. We had a phenomenal junior program, but it was just over summertime when I was growing up for us at Canongate that Andy Pittman ran. And, man, I've got so many memories from doing that. And, being that young, I couldn't tell you how young I was when I started doing that, but Andy is who was my first swing instructor, and just overall the development programs like that are incredible. And I agree with Scott as far as the middle school side of things. Like I can remember, I went to Heritage through middle school, and so at the time I was able to start playing on the varsity team in 8th grade, and just having that experience of quote unquote team golf at that young of an age even is a massive step in the right direction. And we've got a couple of schools in our area, which we're not too far away. I'm in LaGrange, so I'm not too far away from Carrollton, but I think it's LaGrange High School does a really good job of trying to get as many kids involved with their middle school programs. I know one of them's at Gardner Newman, I want to say. My wife was actually involved with the first year of their middle school program 2-3 years ago. But I think that's super awesome. I think, like you said, just having something, what you said earlier, having something every week to keep those kids interested is a massive deal. And just that's something that I talked to Scott before, is like, that's something that's inspiring to me, is to see the development of juniors coming from Carrollton and seeing all the stuff that's happening at Sunset is super, super, super awesome. But on a separate note, and just kind of a quick note, as I think about it, obviously you got the Pomp, the West Georgia 4-ball Is that correct?
Well, we've kind of changed a few things. It's now called the Johnny Suggs 4-ball. We renamed
Okay.
it after the first. He was the head first aid golf professional. But yeah, it's still the
Okay.
same format, same feel. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, all these tournaments that you're involved in seem to be reliable events and super fun events. What's something that's a key to getting these guys to come out, year to year, and like you said, you go full throttle with all of these. Like, what is one of the big keys in that for you? Like, what is something that's most important in running these events?
Well, the first part is communicating and letting people know well in advance when these events are so they can hopefully plan their schedule to come out because there's a lot of tournaments out there, right? So you've got to hopefully get on their schedule and they want to come out and see you. Our golf course, for the most part, is always in really good shape. Adam Hoffman, our superintendent, is phenomenal at what he does and puts out a great product. And like a tour type event, I know it's a much smaller scale and you can't do that, but having all your T's crossed and your I's dotted, it's all about organization. If you come out there and we're not organized and it doesn't feel like we took time and prepared for the event, then it's going to show. And it leaves a bad feel or a bad taste in your mouth when you leave, regardless how the course played and how you played. We've got to make sure everyone feels special when they walk out there.
For sure. I think one of the things that I was a part of the Kirby committee at Noonan Country Club the last 3 years, and one of the things I think they got a lot better was Lorson Harden volunteers for the GSGA, and he got some of his GSGA officials out for the actual event to help kind of with the rules questions, the pace of play, and it really allowed Dano and I even to really, really free up and really focus on more of those small details that you're talking about. It really just classes up your event. And I know that the Pomp Schaefer has been talked about. I've never heard anyone say anything negative about your event over there, and so I can only imagine that it is a super well run event. I'm sure there's some naysayers always, but
there's always things that you can improve no matter what you do. It's one of those things where as you're getting closer to it, you have a checklist and you're trying to make sure that you have everything done, and then after the event, we should have done this, and this.
Absolutely. So speaking of things that can always improve. This is going to test you. This is going to test you because I don't know what brand you're sponsored by. I don't know what clubs you play. This is a question that I get asked a lot as a golf pro, and I'm sure Maddux does as well.
Right.
Do you think the drivers can get that much better year to year?
Do I think they can get that much better? Actually, I don't.
Okay.
They've maxed out COR years ago. So all they're doing now is they're just widening the sweet spot so they can get to .80 on the rebound off of the club face. So the further you miss it, they want the rebound to match a center shot in the sweet spot. So I think they can get more forgiveness. I think you can they're trying to get a little straighter. You're not getting any more distance out of them, I don't believe. I think that
sure.
They're just trying to widen that sweet spot, so to speak, and then hit the ball a little straighter. And if the sweet spot's a little wider, and you could still potentially get more distance out of it.
I think the shafts get better.
Yeah.
This was always what I would tell people. Like you said, they did max out on the ball speed and the rebound of the face. You're maxed out on those numbers of what the rules of golf allows. However, that doesn't mean that there's not a better fit out there for you based on the new shaft technology, based on
I agree with
rates
that.
of the club heads. So I always tell people that firmly no, they cannot get better or every single year. At the same time, though, your fit can. You can have a better fit. You can find a better shaft, maybe that works a little bit better in a specific head. So that was just one question that I get asked, even since I left. I'm like, I still get probably 2 to 3 Instagram DMs of a new club every single week. They're like, what about this one? What do you think about this one? I'm like, they're all awesome, dude. You just got to go get fit and see what works for you.
Well, you make a great point. With all the technology out there's no reason not to get fit. I mean, to see what spin rates and launch angles, you get one that's dialed in for you. That's going to be a hard driver for you to ever replace if you get those numbers just right.
Bingo.
It won't matter what they come out with.
Bingo. So what excites you about the rest of the week at the PGA show?
Well, I'm looking at talking to a couple of different vendors from an apparel standpoint. I get really excited to see if when I walk into the booth, if I see things my members are going to enjoy, and that's really to me is when I look at it. If I can visualize members of mine getting excited about it when they walk in the shop, and every year I'm always trying to change something up, trying to bring in a new line or trying to just do something a little bit different so you don't have the same product line coming in year after year. So I'm excited to see what's new out there that I can bring in. I usually like to do a lot of the education when I'm down here, but I'm really looking for some different things this year. So I'm spending most of my time meeting with vendors and looking at some new things that I've got my eye on.
What clubs are you currently playing when you get to play?
I'm playing TaylorMade.
TaylorMade. All right.
Yeah, I'm playing TaylorMade.
Have you had a chance to hit the new driver, or that's going to be tomorrow?
You know,
No rain.
it's funny that we just got done talking about a driver fit, right? I went up and saw Taylor Fulbright at the Kingdom, and he fit me for a Stealth 2, and I absolutely love it. This has been my favorite driver that I've ever had. I have not hit another driver since.
There you go.
I mean,
Your numbers are right.
Absolutely. The numbers are right. He dialed me in. I'm not saying I hit it all that far, but I love the way it feels. I hit it straight, and for me, when I hit it well, it goes exactly where I need it to, and I love the feel of it. And so I haven't even hit anything else since then. So I'm a couple of generations behind on that.
There you go. I'm going to be as well. My rep was kind enough to let me keep mine, and so I'm going to be a couple generations behind, because if it's not broke, why fix it?
I agree.
Maddux just got a new golf club in his bag. Maddux, you want to give us a one month?
From the sounds of the pomp, though, he needs to switch clubs before every tournament.
Yeah, not kidding. You're not kidding. That worked out that year.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just have, speaking of drivers, just have gotten a new driver, but I don't know, 2-3 months. Well, I say 2-3 months. Time flies. It's been about 6-8 months. I know what you're going with.
What are you hitting, Maddux?
Just got the Ping 420, whatever the new Ping is. One thing about me, I'm just not necessarily a golf club nerd. I've actually, speaking of irons too, I've had the same iron since I worked at Highland 5 years ago. I got those like when I got there. I haven't switched since the other day. I was at Scott's house. He asked me what shaft was in my irons. Had no idea. But no, the club that to speak of is the Lab. Just got that in. It's a sweeper. Moved on to old man putting.
Yeah.
But I've enjoyed it. I played.
Both of you are playing putting with the Lab putter?
The broomstick, yeah.
The broomstick. All right.
It's new. It's different. I played with it, I guess, a total of 3 rounds. I played 9 holes last week with some of my guys, and then I played in a scramble Saturday at Highland, the Frostbite Open at Highland, and tried it out there. But I mean, that wasn't really much of a test. It was some scramble, some 6 scramble, 6 best ball, 6 alternate shot. So I didn't get to putt much in the alternate shot, and only got to putt a few times in the scramble. And then the best ball, though, I mean, when it was my ball, I feel like I putted well with it. It's been a lot of fun to use.
Now, does the grip still have? Is it angled? Is the grip still? Is it angled like in the traditional length putter, or what's the broom putter like?
So they make it with a little bit of forward press, just based off where the offset, where the shaft comes into the head, because most of them come closer to the face than the Labs do. So for the most part, I mean, it's very similar. You put it, they tell you to put it like right over your left. If you're right-handed, you put it right over like your left pec, so like just to the left, just north of your collar, essentially. So it doesn't have to have a lot of like offset or anything, but yeah, it's got the split grip. We fit Maddux into a 46-inch because he's kind of tall. Anyways, Matt, the one complaint, I've been really good friends with Maddux for about 6-7 years now, and the one complaint he's always had to me, it was never to fix his golf swing. It was never, he's like, dude, come fix my putting stroke, like come help me make more 4-footers. And I finally just looked at him, I was like, maybe we just need to go to broomstick. And I think he putted with, I built one for one of his students that I teach his swing. Maddux is his coach, and Maddux was playing or putting around with one of his, I think, one day, and he was like, I need to order one to come make sure, or come fit me for one or whatever.
Does the head design easy to get used to? Because I've played with a couple of them, and it's a different style for sure.
Yeah, that was one thing everybody's asked so far that's seen it, is like, how do you get over that? Or like, I can't stand the look of them, they're ugly, whatever. I think once you just like, it's like anything, I guess, it's new. I don't even pay much attention to it, like the shape of the head or anything, which I don't have. I have the 2.1, so it's a little bit smaller than like the original big one, but it's I don't know. Again, it came natural now. I just look down and it's a putter. Like I'm just looking at. I just got to rock my shoulders. This is it's the easiest I've ever felt while trying to putt. I don't have that,
yeah,
but it is. It's so easy. I wish I would have found it in college. Maybe I would be playing instead of coaching, but it's pretty awesome.
Do a little.
I think Scott, that's got some Mizuno flair to it with that color.
It does. It does. Yeah, it was one of those where, so I'm going to let everybody in on a little plug situation where if you don't want to wait the 5 to 6 weeks, because they are the hottest putters in the world, if you don't want to wait, they have a thing called Lab Golf Outlet.
Okay.
And so it's like anytime like a putter might have like a very, very small blemish. I bought about 4 or 5 of them off of labgolfoutlet.com, and that's how much I believe in them. I pretty much pay full price. Like I don't even go through the rep or anything. They don't even have reps. They just are straight to consumer. But I wanted to show you the custom head cover for it. That is Hood Scotty Scheffler biting the Olympic gold medal.
Oh, that's awesome.
With a bandana as a do-rag. But anyways, yeah, so the labs, I've known, we actually had the founder on here a couple episodes ago. I've known them for about 10 years. And what I enjoy about putting with a lab putter is I don't like to blame the club, but I find myself blaming the club all the time. Right. And for the first time, it actually was a little bit of the club. Like scientifically proven, the putters, you have to hold them with torque. Like a putter that has torque, you have to hold them more stable throughout the stroke than you do a lap. And when it's that cut and dry, like this is clearly an advantage, I'm a believer in that advantage because I also didn't grow up playing the game of golf. So one of the things Maddux and I talked about is like certain people are never going to go to a lap because they don't need to because they have their feel from their putter that they've developed for years and years and years and years. I would still argue that it would still maybe help them, but they're never going to go away from it. I kid you not, you can ask any of my previous bosses or coworkers. I have gone through 250 putters in the 10 years I've been playing golf. And that might be a low ball. Like, I'm not kidding.
Go up. There was a stretch of time when I played with golf with Scott a lot, and I don't think I ever played with him where he used the same putter twice. And I'm known for switching putters, but that was crazy.
So if you like his putter during that round, you said, well, I'll wait a little bit and I'll grab that putter from him here in a minute.
Exactly. I knew I'd have my hands on it eventually.
I just sold him his brother-in-law putter that I had lent Maddux to use for a little while. But it was just one of those things where one of my favorite things when I got into the game, one of my favorite aspects of it, the reason I started the Club Junkies Facebook page in the very beginning, one of the reasons, I was just a huge club junkie, like just a huge, there was one week, I think I played golf 3 or 4 times that week, and I played golf with a different set of irons and different wedges and different putter and different driver. Like the entire bag was different every time I played golf that week. My youth minister at the time, he was working for my dad. He was a huge golf nut, and we would constantly just like trade back and forth. And I'm not just talking about trading clubs. I'm talking about like one day I might be swinging a stiff flex TaylorMade Rocket Blades iron set that's like 80 grams. The next week I might swing a 130 gram extra stiff. Like I had no concept that shafts mattered. I had no concept of any of that. I'm fresh into the game, and I'm just getting my hand on as much stuff as possible, which is weird because I used like the same baseball glove my whole life and that kind of stuff. Like that was just a new part of golf that I got obsessed with, was just the buying and the trading and the selling of golf clubs. And so I've been using the broomstick for Maddux, 6 months, 7 months. And I haven't used anything else, mostly because I feel like if I miss a putt with the other putter, I'm going to be like, well, the broomstick would have made it. And I just can't.
Well, some people, I've known a lot of people over the years and members at different clubs that what they're really attracted to about golf is they enjoy playing, but they like the technology. They like to see what's new out there. A good friend of mine growing up out at White Oak, he every month he had a different set of clubs, and they'd harass him. And finally, he just said, listen, I enjoy seeing what's playing with the new set. I like to see what the new technology is doing out there. I don't really care if it makes me a lot better. I just like to play and try it out. He's kind of a techie kind of guy with it, and that's what he enjoyed. We all play for different reasons, right? And some people play to try out the new technology. That's your passion with it, that and teaching, right? So, I mean, that's if you're going to teach, you need to have a lot of knowledge about clubs and what's going to be good for people. You got to be able to fit them into the equipment.
My original broomstick, so I have probably, I don't know, I've gotten paid back for most of them now at this point. I can give Maddux an update. Most everybody has paid me for them. But at one point, I think I had like 6 or 7 that were just in my players' bags. Just regular putters, lab putters that people had just like borrowed to try before they were going to buy one. And then they have it for a while, so I buy another one, and then I lend that one out. It was a total fiasco there for a bit. One of the things about that is, when you have a player and they see the difference in their hand and they can feel and they look up and they made 3 10-foot putts in a row and they've made maybe 1 10-footer in their last 3 rounds of golf combined, a light bulb kind of goes off. In the same way you see that kid light up when he's 7 years old, he's like, a light bulb goes off. It's like, oh, this putter actually has something in it that is helping me, instead of it just looks pretty. It's a different color. It's got this new slant neck. Like, if you stop by the lab if they have one. I don't know if they're at the show. I'm sure they are. But stop by this week, JJ, and just talk. If you talk to Sam Hahn, tell him you know me. He's the CEO. Or if you see Bill Pressey, he's the founder. He's actually going to be at the Gears. He said he was going to be at the Gears booth all week.
Gotcha.
But Bill Pressey, he started the company. I know you've seen them. I know you put them in your hands. But just have one of their guys explain the technology, because they can do it way better than I can. Because it's one of those things where it's like, why did no one think of this before? And how has it taken 10 plus years to catch on? Because it's that, for lack of a better term, it's that damning for the other companies when they have that revealer and you put a $400 camera in there, and all of a sudden it gets put into motion and it doesn't do what they say it. Like basically his entire point, just to paraphrase, is a square to square or a face balance putter is not doing what they're telling you it is, and then a toe flow putter is doing the exact opposite of what they're telling you it is. Like, the first thing you do, you would think the toe would open. When they put it into motion, it just flips like this and it just completely shuts. So it's one of those things where I don't want to get too into the weeds with the technology, but check it out. Shoot me a text, let me know what you think.
Yeah, were you fitting those at Noonan when you were there? Because I know you had a little putting lab there. Were you fitting a lab there?
I was basically taught how to do it the same way they essentially do it when they do all virtual fittings. It's a very simple process. You just measure their lie angle. You can use your iPhone to do it, and as long as you have a 90-degree angle, so for example, like, a baseboard connecting to a wall makes a 90-degree, and then you just line up your putter wherever you like to hold it. So for example, Dano is putting with one now, and it literally looks like the breast cancer awareness sign, like the putter does, because it's one of the huge ones, and it's bright pink with like 3 lines running across it. Like, it literally looks like it could be a ribbon, like, which is just so Dano. I love it.
That is him. Well, it must have worked. He and Do-Right won the Pro Senior down in December at Sea Island this year, so it must have worked pretty good for him.
So for example, like when I fit him, he's lie angle 65. So that is technically 4 flat of what they consider to be standard. It would be 6 flat of what Scotty Cameron considers to be standard, like of a Newport. They come in at 71 degrees, and that would be 6 flat of that. I fit the very next person that I fit the same day or the very next day was like 76 lie angle. So 4 degrees or 5 degrees upright of Cameron, or 7 degrees upright of what lab needs, or lab says standard is. So it's just one of those things where it's completely personal to you and how you want to hold the putter. I see so many players, like, the whole Steve Stricker way to putt. So we're like, you lift your hands and have the putter. With a lab, his putter would be flush to the ground. They would just make it at like 77-degree lie angle for him, so he could have his hands in that spot. So instead of having to manage the torque and lift his hands to where that would be, he just has to put his hands there, and the putter's going to be sold to the ground.
Getting fit for a putter, I think, is extremely important. You guys do a lot of teaching out at Noonan with the teaching facility that y'all have. I mean, you do a lot of club fitting, out there in your teaching facility. How much putter fitting do you do compared to irons and woods?
I did less, but I was really doing a lot more there towards the end. Specifically labs, though, because no other company really gives you too much to fit with. They'll offer to have every year at Noonan, I had a putter night, like a demo night, where I would have Odyssey or a Callaway rep bring out all the putters, and most of the time, Maddux can attest to this, most of the time I knew just as much, if not more, than the rep would about the certain putters that had come out. So I would kind of lead that demo night. So my first night I did it, I think we sold like 12 or 13 putters. But again, there's no great way to fit for a putter that doesn't need to be fit for. And so what I mean by that is, like, if I know in the back of my brain, and I'm not on Callaway staff anymore, so I can say this without feeling guilty for it. If I know in the back of my brain that a face balance putter doesn't actually want to stay face balance, it doesn't actually want to stay square coming back, I now have to go and try to explain that, or don't explain that, but tell you that that is what's happening, when I know it's not. And I've known this pretty much my whole golf career, right? So I didn't really fully believe in it until maybe 19. Wyatt still swears Wyatt Detmer, Maddux and I played him and Sean in a match, and I was 6 under through 10 with it. And then the next week, this was in my Club Junkie days. The next week, that putter was gone. Keith Fleming actually has that putter, and I've been trying to get it back for years, and he won't give it back to me. And anyways, so
he's making too many birdies with it.
Yeah, so it's just a long story. It's one of those things where I knew how to fit putters. I knew how to, for lack of a better term, kind of make sure people understood what they were looking down at so that they made an informed decision about what they were buying as far as, a plumber's neck versus a slant neck versus this and that. And then once I discovered that all of that kind of stuff was a little bit of hogwash, I just kind of started pushing everybody to labs because it was the only one with conviction that I could say this will actually help you putt better.
How did you meet the president of the club of the company?
So that's back in like 2015, end of 2015, summer 2015. I was working at Callaway Gardens, and there's a group on Facebook called Golf Club Traders. At the time, they had like 40,000 people on there. And there was all these like startup companies that were like using the page to like connect with golfers across America, across the world, really. And it was cool because it was kind of like what Facebook, in my opinion, was like designed for, like connecting people. And like, this guy had this really cool putter company out in Oregon, and this guy had this leather belt making company out of Oklahoma, and this guy had this and this guy had that. And it was kind of like the only place you could find like quote unquote like anti golf stuff, like different golf stuff, back then. So in 2015, Golf Club Traders, the main group, said they were going to start monetizing and kind of charging for advertisement. And me being 18, 19 years old, I was like, well, this is bullcrap. Like, they shouldn't charge for something that's free. And looking back, after starting this page, I should have monetized it eventually and started making some passive income myself, knowing what I know now. But I didn't. We started this page for these guys to be able to come over and advertise. We got quickly up to like 20,000 people, and it's up to like 40 or 50,000 now. But I just met all these guys through there, and Bill was one of the guys. The company was not Lab then. It was called Directed Force Putters, and he was based out of Reno, Nevada, and he was essentially just going around to golf courses out of his van selling putters and custom fitting people for Lab putters. And it's the same one Maddux has. It's the big one, like the original one. But that was the only model he had. He had it in like 3 or 4 different colors. And I didn't believe it at first. I thought it was just like any other. You remember those ones that like would stand up behind? You could like,
yeah.
Stand
I had one. I hate to admit it, but I had one.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I'd line it up. It probably took me 10 minutes to putt.
With anything, you try it or you want to like figure out like if this is like legit or not. And the hard part about Labs, where you're seeing these videos and you're seeing these guys that do not look like they would be good at golf, and they're sinking these long putts on videos, and you don't know if it's like marketing, but it's like these like it's not people that work for Lab. This was the original like people posting videos, kind of like the new influencer age, but these were like old men with these putters from like out west, and I was like, what the heck is going on? Like, why are these people making so many putts? It didn't make any sense. So eventually I got my hands on a Lab, and that was that one that I was telling you about where I was 6 under through 10, and that was like within like 2 or 3 months of getting it. And I just kind of got to know more and more about the company. And then in 2018, Sam Hahn, who was already on the Facebook page and I already had some communication with, really good, nice dude out of Oregon. But he bought into the company, and they rebranded it to Lab, and now it turned into, what it is today. It's a really cool story because the major OEMs are still kind of not giving them their credit for it because they're not taking a whole lot of green grass golf shop space. Like they're 1% of green grass golf shops. What they're forgetting though is how many people, and what I think they're forgetting in their numbers, are how many people are straight up going straight direct to the consumer. And I know as golf pros, the direct to consumer model in our minds may not be the most profitable for us, but it was the perfect thing for this company because the major OEMs were really, really, really trying to keep this technology out of people's hands. They were trying to keep it out of, you know what I'm saying? Like it was really kind of one of those deals where Lab for a long time was kind of like shunned a little bit in the
Do you think they'll get a tour player? I mean, that'd be the golden ring for them for expansion, wouldn't it?
They already have.
Who's playing with it?
Oh gosh, who isn't at this point? Ricky Fowler has one in the bag. Phil Mickelson has one in the bag. Grant Horvath on YouTube. That's probably just as big as anything you can get these days.
That shows you how much I'm keeping up with people's clubs.
Yeah, Lucas Glover won twice on it last year. Will's Outsource is using it. Adam Scott's using it.
There you go.
You got a bunch, but at the same time, they're not being paid for it, right? So like Lab's not doing a ton of like, you don't turn on the TV and you don't see Lab commercials the same right after a TaylorMade commercial while you're watching the coverage. But then you go on YouTube and you're watching a good match and there's Lab stuff everywhere because they're monetizing and they're putting their money into like just the direct to consumer market. Just, hey, watch this guy make a bunch of putts on YouTube and then come buy our product. And what I like about it is I've never had anyone that I've ever sold a putter to, fit for a putter, sold one of my prior putters, I've never had anyone come back to me and say they didn't like it or they want me to sell it for them. And that happens all the time with everything else. It's like, this worked for 2 weeks, bring it back. I don't think, to my knowledge, I haven't had anybody that has bought one give it up, like gone away from it.
I've got a member of the club that he's got one and he absolutely loves it. And I'm going to go over there and check it out. And
there you go.
I'm going to tell him you sent me over there.
There you go. One last story for you, because I was a little inspired by your story of your guy that worked in your shop for 7 years and ended up having cancer, and I want to share this story. I don't know if you ever met a guy named Danny Ives. Did you ever meet Danny Ives?
I did.
So Danny Ives, out of like Rome area, and I guess originally from Auburn or down near Auburn, but he came to work for us at White Oak, and I got to work with him for about a year and a half. And he was this older guy who was retired, and he had played on, he had some PGA Tour starts. I think he played down at Auburn, and he, was just incredible guy, incredible player, incredible talent as far as just watching him strike a golf ball. Even at his age, I think he was in his early to mid 60s when I met him. But one of the things that I learned the most from him was how to work in the golf shop. How to be, more so than maybe anybody that I was learning from at that time, of really how to be the person behind the counter with the consummate professional face. And I learned that from Wyatt, but from like a distance per se. I had to train Danny, and then Danny ended up training me. And it was just such a cool education to get from him, because I was this young kid thinking I knew it all, or thinking I had it all figured out, or thinking I was well on my way to having it all figured out. And he kind of, like in his old school Danny ways, just real quietly kind of explained to me that I didn't have it all figured out and that I had a lot more learning to do. And he just taught me so much. He ended up passing away of COVID a few years ago while he was working for us, it was super sad and tore me up. But it's one of those things, you sharing your story about your shop attendant that worked for you for so long, it reminded me of him, because these guys that maybe they've had so much success in their businesses and they've had so much success. I mean, he was a high-level amateur, turned pro for a little while, and then had a very, very successful business career. And then they turn around and they just want to work in a golf shop because they love it and they love being around it every day. So how blessed are we being golf pros that we get to do that every day?
Well, I tell you what's nice is you never quit learning, right? And there's so many people out there, and this, my take on life is there's so many people. You can't do it by yourself. You can learn so much, good and bad, from people. I tell you, having good mentors in your life, or for personal growth, professional growth, is crucial. It's I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I wouldn't have had a lot of great people in my corner helping guide and direct me all throughout the years. I've still got a gentleman right now that works in the shop for me that's, God, he's one of my best friends, and he's a great mentor, Bobby Stevenson. He's done a lot for me, and he's educated me on a lot of different things as well, and helped me grow into the person I am today. And obviously, I'm hopefully not done growing, but I think we all need mentors. I think we all need people like Danny Ives in our life that are impactful. You'll remember him for the rest of your life. So as we get older, it'll be our job to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, JJ, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on, man. We can't thank you enough, and thank you for being a mentor to us, even if we were 18 and trying to drink all night and then come into work the next day. But no, thank you for all your words of encouragement over the last 6-7 years of my life, and what you've done for me. It's been a pleasure just watching you grow at Sunset and watching your program and whatnot over there. Just have all the success in the world. Maddux, what you want to say to the man?
Yeah, no, I think it was great having you on. Like you said, learned a lot just from this little conversation we had, and like you said, just to kind of recap the last couple of minutes about mentors and stuff, I think that's super, super crucial. And just thank you for I guess from the perspective of becoming a new dad and also being in the golf business, just seeing the programs that you guys have at Sunset and the effort that you put into the junior program is inspiring, and I hope that reaches some audiences out there that may or may not listen, but to kind of develop that for their own golf courses. And again, it's crucial in so many ways for the game of golf and for kids themselves. I think there's a ton of lessons to learn through the game of golf, and I love to see that you guys are doing such a great job of that over there with all the programs you got. So that's awesome, and again, enjoyed it and learned a lot.
Well, I appreciate you both. I mean, I've known you guys for a long time. The one thing we didn't get to talk about is what's going down at Point University right now. I mean, looking at your career and your background and your skill set, leading the boys team, and then you've got Angela Ormsby that's just now taking over the girls. I mean, this is going to be absolutely a powerhouse that you're building down there. And you want to talk about mentors. You guys directly have the ability to shape the lives of so many young players into better men and women and into great players, because you guys know how to play under pressure situations. No matter where you go, you'll be able to relate to all of your players, but you also have enough experience on how to handle yourself off the golf course, you and Angela both. And I'm excited to see what's going on at Point. I think you guys, I saw the interview with Shannon, and I saw you kind of too talking about the coaching aspect of it. And he's a phenomenal coach, and you guys, you have a lot of similarities in how you view coaching. And I'm going to be following the program, because I think there isn't going to be another pair of coaches out there that's going to be better than you and Angela leading that Point program. And I'm excited to see what you guys have going on. If there's anything I can ever do to help you guys, just let me know.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that.
Scott, enjoyed it, my man. Absolutely.
Boys, that does not mean blow JJ up for tee times, but I'm sure he can help you out.
Scott, we still don't have tee times.
Yeah, exactly. He's got tee times. Hey, that's the good part about where we're at in golf 2025.
Absolutely.
Oh, man. JJ, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good night.
See ya.
All right. See ya.